Good Tavach, everybody. So I'll tell you, Maisa, one of the great Tzadikim was Rav Yussie Zakutinsky. Rav Yussie Zakutinsky was known as, amongst the students, amongst the Talmidei Baal Shem, and amongst the Chassidish Rebbes, he was known as the Makarev, the one that would go out and help Yidden. He was a big Av Yisrael. He would bring Jews back to Yiddishkeit, closer to Avodas Hashem. So he was a chassid, a talmid of the Rebbe Shmelk of Nikolsburg. The Rebbe Shmelk of Nikolsburg was a big tzaddik in his own right. And he was a big Marbitz Torah. He had a big yeshiva in Nikolsburg, and he had a lot of the tzadikim of that generation were students. A lot of them were students of the Rebbe Shmelk, including Rav Yussie Zakutinsky. So the Maisa goes like this. One time, Rav Yussie was I guess the end of his man or something in yeshiva, and he was going to go back home for Ben Azmanim. And so he went to go take leave by the Rebbe, by the Rosh Hashiva, by the Tzaddik, the Rebbe Shmelk. So the Rebbe Shmelk, say shalom to each other, okay, gives him a bracha that, tzeischel shalom, everything should go well on his way home. And as Rav Yussie is about to leave the office, so the Rebbe Shmelk turns to him and he says, you know what, Yussie, let me give you a few things, tzedel derech, things to take along the way. Okay? So the Rebbe Shmelk goes into the other room, comes back with three things: a gold coin, one gold coin, one loaf of bread, and one kittel that the Rebbe Shmelk wore by the previous Yom Narayim. Okay? He said, take this, it'll be good for you. Okay? He took those things and he left. Fine. The Rebbe Shmelk had big amuna in his Rebbe, in his Rebbe, that certainly these things are going to come in handy. He didn't know how or what. So as he's traveling home, it took weeks to get home in those days. So he's traveling back, and in the middle, he happens to pass through a certain shtetl, a certain town, and while he's passing by this particular mansion, he hears moaning and groaning and yelling and screaming, very disturbing sounds. So Rav Yussie goes to investigate what's happening, so he goes and notices that at the far end of this estate, there's like a prison or a dungeon of some sort. And he hears that the moaning is coming from someone that's stuck in that prison. And he goes closer to investigate more, and he realizes that not only is a Nebuch a person stuck in prison, it's Nebuch it's a Yid. And this Yid is sitting there by himself, moaning in loneliness and pain and agony and calling out for help. So Rav Yussie Zakutinsky says, Yid? So he says, I'm here to help you. What happened? What's going on? Tell me what are you doing here? What can I do? So the Yid basically says to Rav Yussie that he was a citizen in this shtetl, and this estate is owned by the Paretz, the landowner of the whole area, an anti-Semite, and the Paretz, everyone has to pay taxes, and this Yid Nebuch was behind on his taxes, so the Paretz just threw him into prison like this. So he's sitting here without food, without any help, doesn't know what to do. So Rav Yussie says, okay, listen, I'm going to take care of it. So he knocks on the Paretz's door with confidence, and which itself was a sign of his greatness, because again, an average Yid knocking on the door of a Paretz, after knowing that this is what type of Paretz this guy is not so pashut. But to help another Yid, Pekoch Nefesh, Pidyon Shvuyim, the biggest mitzvah in the world is to release a captive. So he goes to the Paretz's door, knocks on the door. The Paretz opens the door. Who is this? And he says, listen, I'm a Jew, and I noticed that you have a Jew stuck in your prison, and I want to pay his debt. So the Paretz says, okay, fine, it's 50,000 ruble. That's what the guy owes me. So Rav Yussie says, not a problem. He takes out the gold coin from his Rebbe, and he says, here. And the Paretz looks and says, one gold coin. I told you it's 50,000 ruble. You give me one gold coin, maybe a gold coin is worth 20 ruble, 30 ruble. It's not 50,000 ruble. So he says, you're making fun of me. So you know what? I'm going to take you to an even worse dungeon. What happens? Meanwhile, so they schlep Rav Yussie Zakutinsky into another area where there's a lot of wild dogs and wild animals that mamish will be dangerous. So Rav Yussie sees what's going on. So you know what he does? So he takes his kittel that the Rebbe Shmelk gave him, took the kittel and wrapped it around himself. And then all of a sudden, the wild dogs and wild animals were mamish tame. They sat by him nicely, just mamish b'achna, in humility, in front of the tzaddik. Now the Paretz sees this and is like, okay, we're dealing with something altogether different over here. So he got very, very nervous. And he said, you know what? I'm afraid of this holy man. This obviously he knows, either he's holy, he knows witchcraft, something's going on over here. I don't want to mess with this person anymore. So the Parrot says to Ramay Shaleib, you know what, fine, the gold coin that you gave me, to me that's considered to be 50,000 ruble, and finished, I'll release him. So Ramay Shaleib says, okay, but I want to be the one to release him, I fulfilled the mitzvah, I want to finish it up. So fine, so he gives Ramay Shaleib the key, he goes to the dungeon, takes him out, and it opens the door, and he notices that Nebuch the Yid is so weak, he can't even get out of prison himself. So Ramay Shaleib remembers, I have a loaf of bread. So he takes that loaf of bread and sits down, has a Sudas Haidah with that Yid, they sing some nigunim, they eat some bread, they eat some food together, they feel a little bit more energized, and the Yid is able to walk home on his own and happily ever after. So that's the Ma'aseh. So the three things that the Rabbi Shmelka gave Ramay Shaleib were mamish necessary in order to save that Jew's life. Now, coming from Shabbos, then you go into the 6 days of the week. What do you learn from this story? So, in the 6 days of the week, who knows what we're going to find? Who knows what type of parrots is chas v'sham, we might come across. But Shabbos is like Rabbi Shmelka. Shabbos gives us all the gifts that we need to be able to handle everything of the 6 days of the week. All we need to do is whenever we find a difficult scenario between Sunday and Friday, is to take out one of those gifts that Shabbos gave us. Amunah, bitachon, hischaskus, davening, learning, chevershaft, all the gifts that Shabbos gives us, access that during the 6 days of the week. And with that, we'll be able to get free from any prison that we might find ourselves in, chas v'shalom. Hashem should bless us. Should be zeichet to have a week of nechama, of menucha, of yeshua das, of menuchas nefesh, of bracha v'atzlacha, on all levels, ad b'li dai v'yiskol tzadik meher v'yimeinu, amen.